Welcome to Farming Aid.
When people think about cattle, they usually picture familiar farm breeds grazing in open pastures. But beyond modern ranches and domesticated herds lies a hidden world of rare and mysterious wild bovines that few people have ever heard of. Across remote forests, protected reserves, and isolated landscapes, some extraordinary cattle species still survive, carrying ancient genetics and behaviors that date back centuries. In this video, we explore three of the planet's most elusive and fascinating wild cattle. In the next few minutes, we will uncover the secrets behind these three incredible wild cattle species. You will discover how they live, why they are so rare, and why scientists and conservationists are racing to protect them before they disappear. This journey into the world might completely change how you see bovines forever. Deep in northern England, within a quiet and ancient parkland, lives one of the most unusual cattle populations on Earth. The herd known as Chillingham cattle lived in near total isolation for centuries inside the grounds of Chillingham Park. Historians believe their lineage may stretch back hundreds of years, possibly even to medieval times, when large areas of Britain still supported wild cattle descended from the mighty aurochs. When the aurochs eventually disappeared from Europe, most of their descendants were domesticated or bred into modern cattle. Yet the Chillingham herd followed a different path. They remained confined to their parkland home but were never domesticated in the traditional sense. Instead, they evolved into a strange hybrid of wild and managed animals that still behave much like their untamed ancestors. Visitors who see Chillingham cattle for the first time are often struck by their ghostly appearance. Their coats are almost pure white, contrasted by black or dark-colored ears and muzzles. This coloration gives them an almost prehistoric look, as if they stepped out of an ancient landscape painting. But their appearance is only part of what makes them remarkable. Their behavior is even more unusual. Unlike most cattle breeds that are comfortable around humans, Chillingham cattle remain extremely wary. They move as a tight herd, communicate through subtle body signals, and follow a strict social hierarchy that researchers have studied for decades. One of the most fascinating aspects of this herd is its genetic history. The Chillingham population has been isolated for so long that it represents one of the most inbred large animal populations on Earth. Normally, such extreme inbreeding would cause devastating health problems. Yet the herd has survived for generations with surprisingly few visible defects. Scientists studying the animals believe natural selection has played a powerful role in shaping their survival. Over centuries, weaker individuals likely failed to reproduce, leaving only the strongest genetics within the population. The result is a herd that appears to have purged many harmful genes through a harsh but effective process of natural selection. This unique genetic story has turned Chillingham cattle into a living scientific treasure. Researchers studying them gain insights into how isolated populations adapt and survive. Their resilience challenges assumptions about genetic diversity and offers clues about how ancient cattle populations may have endured during difficult periods in human history. At the same time, the herd's survival depends heavily on careful management. Conservationists monitor the animals closely to ensure the population remains healthy and protected from disease outbreaks that could threaten the entire group. While Chillingham cattle represent a rare European relic of ancient bovines, the forests of Southeast Asia hold a very different kind of mystery. Hidden among the dense rainforests and rugged mountains of Indonesia lives one of the smallest and least understood wild cattle species on Earth. The Anoa is sometimes called the dwarf buffalo, yet despite its small size it belongs to a unique lineage of wild bovines that has adapted perfectly to life in dense tropical forests. The Anoa's home is the island of Sulawesi in Indonesia, a region known for its extraordinary biodiversity. Sulawesi sits at a crossroads of Asian and Australian wildlife zones, creating an environment where unusual species evolve in isolation. Among these species, the Anoa stands out as one of the island's most iconic yet rarely seen animals. Even many Indonesians have never encountered one in the wild. Unlike large cattle that roam open plains, Anoa are solitary forest dwellers. They spend most of their lives moving quietly through dense vegetation, feeding on leaves, fruits, ferns, and young shoots. Their small size allows them to navigate narrow jungle paths and steep terrain that larger animals would struggle to cross. Standing only about a meter tall at the shoulder, they look almost like miniature buffalo with short legs, dark coats, and sharp horns that curve slightly backward. Two main types of Anoa are recognized today, both adapted to slightly different habitats on Sulawesi. Some prefer lowland forests while others inhabit mountainous areas, but both share a secretive lifestyle that makes them extremely difficult to study. Researchers often rely on camera traps hidden deep in the forest to capture glimpses of these shy animals moving through the undergrowth. Despite their ability to remain hidden, Anoa face serious threats in the modern world. Deforestation, illegal hunting, and habitat fragmentation have dramatically reduced their numbers over the past century. As forests are cleared for agriculture or development, the Anoa lose the dense cover they depend on for survival. Their slow reproduction rate also makes recovery difficult once populations decline. Yet Anoa remain incredibly resilient creatures. Their survival strategies have evolved over thousands of years in one of the planet's most complex ecosystems. They are powerful swimmers, capable climbers, and remarkably adaptable feeders that can switch diets depending on seasonal food availability. These traits help them survive in an environment where conditions change rapidly. Scientists studying Anoa often describe them as a window into an ancient evolutionary path. Their closest relatives include larger Asian buffalo species, but the Anoa diverged long ago as Sulawesi's isolation shaped its wildlife in unique ways. In many ways, the Anoa represents what happens when wild cattle evolve in dense forests rather than open grasslands. The result is a compact, agile bovine perfectly suited for life under the jungle canopy. Farther north in Southeast Asia, another wild cattle species dominates tropical landscapes in a very different way. The Banteng. One of the most striking wild cattle on Earth, known for its muscular build, dramatic coloration, and powerful presence in forests and grasslands across the region. Unlike the elusive Anoa, Banteng often travel in herds and occupy a wider range of habitats, from dense jungles to open savannas. Wild Banteng can be found in parts of Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Malaysia, though their numbers have declined significantly in many areas. They also exist on several Indonesian islands where protected populations still roam within national parks and wildlife reserves. Among conservationists, Banteng are often considered one of the most beautiful wild cattle species because of their distinctive appearance. Adult males are especially striking. Their coats are deep reddish-brown or almost black, contrasted with bright white stockings on their lower legs and a white rump patch that stands out vividly against the darker body. Females usually have lighter reddish coats, giving the species a dramatic sexual contrast that makes herds visually impressive when seen in the wild. Banteng are closely related to domestic cattle and have even contributed to some domesticated breeds in Southeast Asia. In fact, a domesticated form known as Bali cattle originated from ancient Banteng populations. This connection highlights how wild bovines have influenced human agriculture in ways many people never realize. In the wild, Banteng are powerful grazers that shape the landscapes they inhabit. They feed on grasses, leaves, and shrubs, often moving between forest edges and open areas depending on the season. Their grazing patterns help maintain ecological balance by preventing certain plant species from dominating the landscape. This makes them important ecosystem engineers in the habitats where they survive. However, Banteng are also among the most threatened wild cattle species today. Habitat loss, poaching, and competition with domestic livestock have pushed many populations into isolated pockets of protected land. In some regions, conservation programs are working to rebuild wild populations by protecting breeding herds and restoring natural habitats. One fascinating aspect of Banteng biology is their incredible physical strength and endurance. Adult males can weigh more than 800 kilograms, yet they remain agile enough to navigate dense forests and rugged terrain. When threatened, Banteng can become extremely defensive, using their powerful horns and muscular bodies to deter predators. This combination of size and agility has helped them survive in environments where predators such as large cats once roamed. The stories of Chillingham cattle, Anoa, and Banteng may unfold in completely different landscapes, but together they reveal something profound about the diversity of wild bovines on Earth. Each species represents a different evolutionary strategy. Chillingham cattle show how isolation and natural selection can shape a unique population over centuries. Anoa demonstrate how wild cattle can shrink in size and adapt to life in dense tropical forests. Banteng illustrate the strength and adaptability of large wild cattle thriving across varied environments. The next time someone thinks about cattle, it is easy to imagine quiet pastures and domesticated herds. But beyond those familiar scenes lies a world of hidden bovines living far from farms and fences. From the ghostly white herd of Chillingham cattle in the English countryside, to the shy forest-dwelling Anoa of Sulawesi, to the majestic Banteng roaming Southeast Asian jungles, these animals remind us that the wild story of cattle is far from over. As we've seen, the world of cattle is far more mysterious than most people realize. Beyond the familiar breeds found on farms and ranches, there are rare and remarkable bovines that still live in isolation, carrying the legacy of ancient wild cattle. The hauntingly unique Chillingham cattle continue to survive in a small protected landscape in England, preserving one of the most unusual genetic stories in the animal kingdom. Deep within the forests of Sulawesi in Indonesia, the shy and rarely seen Anoa quietly moves through dense jungle, reminding us how wildlife can evolve in complete isolation. And across parts of Southeast Asia, the powerful Banteng still roams forests and grasslands, standing as one of the most striking wild cattle species left on Earth. Together, these three animals reveal something fascinating about the diversity of bovines on our planet. Each species adapted to a completely different environment, from protected European parklands to tropical rainforests and rugged Southeast Asian landscapes. Their survival stories show how resilient wild cattle can be, but they also highlight how fragile these populations have become in the modern world. The stories of Chillingham cattle, Anoa, and Banteng remind us that nature still holds many secrets waiting to be discovered. Hidden in remote forests and protected landscapes are animals that have survived centuries of change, continuing to live much as they did long before modern agriculture transformed the world. If you enjoyed discovering these rare wild cattle and want to learn more about fascinating livestock, wildlife, and rare animal breeds from around the world, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Which of these wild cattle surprised you the most? Let us know below, and stay tuned for more incredible animal stories from across the planet.